Good evening, Sanbonani, and welcome back to Young Climber. We have returned yet again to deliver another great profile of an individual doing great things in the Kingdom of Eswatini. Today, I do speak to a digital content creator with over 10 years experiences. He has done brand work and many other things in the kingdom, but he joins us to unpack his story and his journey, and of course, tell us a bit about his upbringing. I am talking about none other than Victor Nira, who joins us today right here on Young Climber. My name is, of course, Tabelo Dlamini, and welcome back. Thank you so much for choosing us once again this evening. Victor, welcome to Young Climber.
Nice. Thank you so much, Bello, for having me.
Just as we start off, I want to backtrack a little and find out about Victor, the young Victor. Let's talk about your upbringing and, experiences in your young days that shaped the person that you are today.
All right. No, thank you so much. Yeah, as I said, as you said, my name is Victor, and originally I'm from Zim, and I was born in the city of that's called Bloeo. And I have 3 siblings, and what's interesting, we all the V's, so there's Victoria, Victor, Vincent, and Victory. And growing up, I'll say in my family I was always like the one that was more adventurous, I'll say. And I used to love like learning new stuff, learning new things, and I used to enjoy that a lot. And also I was a very athletic person, so I used to enjoy running track, and I used to also play rugby. I still do. And just different activities. And then I'll say after, it's quite interesting that I never really saw myself going into the direction of like photography and videography, right? Because what I initially studied was project management. So that's what I actually started. But what actually kicked off the journey was serving a church. I got really intrigued, and I used to like enjoy just seeing the guys, take pictures and stuff like that. And that's when I actually discovered that, I've got like a good eye just by observing and being like, I think they can do a better shot on like if you do like this and stuff. And and also, what I'll say, what actually triggered that was I've always imagined like creating like when I was young, creating a billboard. So I used to be fascinated when I see billboards and stuff. So yeah.
And those were the footsteps of your career. But now, it propelled you into being a digital content creator, photographer, and most importantly, a videographer. Can we talk about what propelled you into that direction specifically of being a digital content creator, especially here in the Kingdom of Eswatini?
Yeah, no, true. Like I said, I'll backtrack it a little bit, going to serving at church.
Yes.
I've always wanted and desired excellence in the church, right? Because I don't know, there's this notion where, in church, it's just church, you don't deliver like really good stuff, right? But my desire was always to cover that gap, to be like, no, church people can actually produce like really good work, right? So that's what actually started and ignited that. And I'll say, as I was serving, the desire and the heart, to be a videographer, photographer, actually grew more and more and more. And something like that. That's where, I'll say in church. So that's why I would encourage someone that, like if you're in church, whatever area that you're serving in, right? Serve there faithfully, because you never know what God has actually planted,
Okay. So I see most of, our professions are stemming from church, and I definitely like to see that. But can you talk about how do you balance the creativity and technical aspects for digital content creation? Because I do believe that the videography part is you. The technical part, you do it all on your own, but how do you manage to balance all of that and make sure it works together for good?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. I'll say in life, just in general, like you need to balance things, right? And it comes back to the principle, I think it's there in the Bible, that with the little that you've been given, right, you need to do it well and be faithful. So over a long period of time, I've managed to just try to balance and manage, everything well, with obviously with the resources and the time and everything, right? So I always try to do that well, balancing everything well. And of course, I have a team that actually helps out with that. So yeah. Yep.
And with you, you do a lot of brand work, or you've done a lot of brand work. Can you describe the process of conducting, your pre-production, your production, and your post-production, especially given that, working with brands is quite challenging. I'm sure you've had a point in time where you edited, you did your best, you gave it to them, and they were like, can you tweak it here? Can you... And how do you manage all of that?
Oh, nice. Yeah. So just to add on to that,
give us an experience of that.
Right?
Yeah.
So part of the brands that I've actually worked with is Suzuki.
Yeah.
So I shot the five-door Jimny. So what was interesting, before even I approached them, right? Because I had to think through, right? Like what kind of a shot did I want and everything. So by the time I went and I approached them, I was like, guys, give me 2 minutes, right? And then I'll just pitch my idea that I can do this, right? And then what was interesting, we ended up taking, I think it was 1 minute. Then they were like, yeah, I feel like they felt like I was the right person for the job. And stuff. And obviously I had to come up with the script. So they gave me freedom to pretty much do the whole creative process, right? They gave me freedom, just to run with the whole project and just to be creative. And I feel like I work better that way because I'm able to, come up with stuff and just work in such a way that will make the project or whatever, the video, right, come out well. And even when I was editing, I knew that I had to put the scene there and there and there and stuff like that, right? And of course, with the credit with the team. By the time that when I finished the project and then submitted it, they were actually happy. I think the only thing that I had to tweak was to just add like fonts and stuff like that, right? Some typo stuff, but in terms of like the color grading, the flow, the scene, everything, they were happy with it. Yeah.
And now we speak of brand work, but can we talk about, you did say that you pitched to them. Maybe there's a young person watching out there who is already a videographer, how do you manage to put yourself in a position where a brand is fully attracted to you and your work? Like, which door do you knock on? Yeah,
that's a really good question. I'm always, people always ask me that question. I think it also comes with time and experience, right? With some of the projects that I've done, and of course your work, right? Your work, I feel like it has to speak for itself. Like in the Bible, we see that, the Bible says that Daniel, the spirit of excellence, right? So that's also my approach, to the extent that even by the time I go to whatever potential client or whatever brand, right? They have something that they can see to be like, okay, Victor has done this and that, right? But I would say for someone who's starting, just go for it, right? Don't worry whether if you get rejected or not. There are certain projects where they're like, no, we have someone else and stuff like that, right? Just put yourself out there. And what's more important is just start where you are. Because the temptation is to always say, I want to go for the big brands, right? While at least you're not doing a good job with the small brands and stuff like that. So that's why I'll go back to the serving, where if you're serving in church, do that well, do that well. So that by the time if an opportunity, arises, right, you're able to do it well. And then you'll see with time, people will be like, who did that stuff, right? Who did this, who did that? And then they're also able to recommend you.
And now let's talk about evolving. Technologies and the creative industry is evolving rapidly. And with such a profession like videography, if you have an iPhone, if you're shooting with a 14, there comes a 16 or a 15. You know, you have to move with the times to make sure that your deliverance is amazing to your client. How are you making sure that you're keeping on track with the latest trends and of course the latest technologies when it comes to your job?
Yeah, but like as you're saying, right now, you know, technology is moving very fast. So I'll say for me, the way I've done it is just to be a student every day. So every day I'm constantly learning. What's the new gear? Obviously, with technology, right? That means there's always that temptation to be like, oh no, get the best gear, you know. But just learn, you know, learn the principles of videography, learn the principles of, you know, photography each and every time. So by the time a new equipment, whatever changes happen, right, you are ready and prepared for it because you're constantly learning and learning and learning and learning all the time. And
now we talk about the idea of social media. I think with being a digital content creator, most of the work that you do now, especially maybe this year, is presented on social media. And social media has a diverse reception, you know. How has social media impacted your work and how do you leverage from it?
Okay. Yeah, I would say, social media has actually elevated my work in such a way that people are able to see what I do and what I do with like Impala Creatives, right, and even church-wise, because people get a bit of a glimpse, right, to be like to see the stuff of like work that I actually do. And what was interesting, I recently, I think it was last month or so, I did stuff for Mlembo Water, right? And then people were just like, oh, so who did this and stuff like that. So from that, I was actually able to get even more clients because people were just curious, like who did this advert and, you know, those kind of things. So it has actually helped and enhanced my work in terms of like people knowing what I do and stuff like that.
Alrighty. When we return, Victor, we talk about your milestones and, you know, some of the rewarding projects that you have done. But that is only when we come back.
Okay.
Welcome back. Today we are coming to you from farm to table. If you want to enjoy an all-day breakfast and of course have your meetings, this is definitely the place to be. My meeting today is with, of course, a digital content creator with over 10 years experience, and I did say that he has worked with many brands and I'm sure he has certain milestones, you know. Victor, can you please talk about a rewarding project that you have done, one of your favorites actually, because I'm not saying you must be biased, but which is one of your most rewarding projects that you've done?
Nice. Yeah, actually they're a couple.
You can mention all of them.
I'll say the Isuzu project and the Jimny, I think they are on the top list. And of course I've done some documentaries for like NGOs, right? But I feel like those, they really take the cup because you know, I enjoy, you know, shooting action shots, you see. So I feel like, because I've always wanted to do like a car commercial, like ever since. So when that opportunity came, I was like, yes, thank you God, you know, for this opportunity. So I feel like that has been the most rewarding projects that I've ever done.
And can you talk about your first professional project? You know, with the videography aspect of you, it is self-taught, right? But you know, you do keep on learning. Can you talk about your first professional project and what you learned from it specifically? Looking back now, are you on your work, you're like, nah, I didn't do a great job there. Are you critiquing yourself, and how have you evolved from the first project?
I'll say my first professional project was when I shot a documentary with Saf AIDS. It was a good project, but a little bit challenging because we had to shoot like different scenes at different locations.
And
So,
at that time,
yeah, at that
the
time I'm like,
equipment.
yeah, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
you know, it was a bit of a challenge, but I learned a lot from then, because now some of the principles that I applied then, right, I still do apply them in the current projects that I do.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot from there, because when I look there, I'm like, Victor, you know, the color grading there should have been better, you know, that kind of thing. When I look back, I'm like, you know, this, I could have changed this and that and that. But I felt like I did a good job with what I had at that time. And talking about that, I think I'll just add on to actually the first project, but it wasn't really professional, but it was more of like a wedding, you know,
Yeah.
shoot. I always tell this to the guys that I had no camera, nothing, right? Like zero. And then, Victor, can you do this job? I was like, yes, I can do it. Let me do this, right?
Yeah.
And I was able to, you know, borrow cameras and stuff, and I actually did a good
Pretty
job.
good
yeah.
job, yeah.
And from then,
You
everything
skyrocketed.
just changed.
And the only way, you know, you've become this person is through learning. Can you talk about the concept or the importance of continuous learning, especially in your life?
Yeah, I'll say that one is very, very important. You always need to be a student.
Yeah.
This doesn't just apply, you know, in your career, right? But just in everything
In life.
that you do. And also be a student of the Bible, you know.
Yeah.
Pray, read your Bible every day, because that actually helps you, you know, to develop character and also just to have a personal relationship with Christ. So don't just learn your craft, right, but also learn how to become closer to God. Yeah.
And you know, the projects that you do, make sure that you engage with different communities. Can you talk about a project that made a difference in your community? Your community is obviously Eswatini. One that you feel impacted the lives of Emaswati greatly.
I'll say a project that I did with Liberty Community Center. So the Liberty Community Center is actually a community center in Manzini, where they bring in young people, they teach them instruments, right? So
Yes.
I was like, I worked there. So I was in a position to document it. So I feel like it impacted people because people were now aware that there's this place.
Oh yeah.
And more people in Manzini actually now come there. They have what they call the after school program. So now they're able to benefit from the community center because they're able to learn instrument for free.
Oh yeah.
So I felt like with the visuals that I did, right, they were able to actually impact, you know, the community and Manzini at large, because now everyone knows that there's a Liberty Community Center.
You know,
that does that.
and producing content requires different disciplines.
Yeah.
You need your sound guy, you need your videographer, you need your director, you know, you need your content person, because sometimes you may have the eye behind the camera, but
Yeah.
you know, there needs to be placement of things. How important is teamwork to you, and who do you make sure that you engage when you're working across different things?
Yeah, I love that question because that I'm also like so passionate about, especially in terms of like building a team. So right now I have a team of like 3-4. So there's TK, TJ,
Yeah.
Tuba, and the other guys junior. And these are the people that I've actually taught.
Yeah.
And the importance of a team, like what you're saying, I can't do everything, you know,
On
by
your own,
by
yeah.
myself. But when you have a team, you're able to delegate and make sure that everything, you know, goes smoothly. And what's nice about having a team is that they can be like, you know, Victor, what if we do this, right? Then
Yeah.
you know it turns out to be like a good idea. Because I remember even doing a shoot with Mlembe. They were like, "Oh no, Victor, what if we do this scene like this and like that?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then it actually came out so well. So
Yeah.
teamwork for me is like so important, and I love you know, training people. I love, you know, teaching people, you know, the skill and everything that I know.
And one
Yeah.
interesting thing about you is that you're also the co-founder of Bantu Designs, which is now called Impala.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges that you faced establishing a business, and how did you manage to overcome them?
Yeah, I would say some of the challenges that I encountered was getting the name known out there
Yeah.
and trying to convince, business people and even individual that I can do the work.
Yes.
That's always like that's a challenge.
Yeah.
And also building the right team. So with this kind of work, right, you need the right people that
Yeah.
will do, the job well. Because I want to be at peace that if I'm in Babane, right, and then the team is doing a job in Manzini, I want to be at peace to be like, no, they're doing a good job. So I'll say those are some of the challenges that I encountered. So getting myself out there, getting people to know about Impala Creatives, yeah, and building a team.
Your work involves partnering and collaborating with clients. How do you incorporate client feedback in your work and what you'll do in the next project?
In the project.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. On this one, I think I'll have to give my coach Zinti, Lou and Zinti, credits on that because they helped me in terms of like feedback and stuff. Like they helped me coach even that, in the sense that even when I'm talking to clients, right, feedback is always a top priority for me. Because for me, I believe that even if you're a creative person, right, you cannot do everything by yourself.
Yes.
So I need to understand the client's vision, right, and what they want, to the extent that by the time they give me feedback, right, I'm able to take that feedback well and then apply it, in that project. And what comes out of that, most of the time, for me, I'll say 99% has been magic. The craft has been like really good, even the project, everything. So I value feedback like a lot. Yeah.
Before we conclude, creative work is sometimes taken as a hobby.
Yeah.
How do you manage to stay motivated given that this is the perception that people have of this specific field? And how do you manage to stay on top of your work, even regardless of the fact of what people say?
Yeah. That's true. I'll say, I think now people are starting to be aware that you can actually make this into a career, right? Because I remember for me, especially before Impala Creatives was, before Impala Creatives was Impala Creative, before we used to call it Bantu, right? At some point in season, I used to treat it as a hobby. But I was like, no, you can actually make this into like a proper career, right? You can make it into a proper career. So the most important thing is that people need just to be aware that this is something that you can actually do like as a living. Like you can make, something out of it. So yeah, I would say, I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, I'll say that. Yeah.
Yeah. And now, as we conclude, can you tell us, advise the young people that are watching, how can they tap into videography, and not just videography, the idea of digital content creation? Can it be a future passion for most people? Can it be taken as importantly as other professions are? Do you think in the future content creation will be ranking high up top just as other professions?
Definitely. The way the earth is, like the direction that it is moving, right? The
It's
world
favoring
is moving. Yeah. That's the future.
Yeah.
Because now almost everything that you like you do just in general in life, it needs visuals.
Yes.
And it needs those kind of people, right? You need someone who can take pictures, you need someone who can take videos. So I'll say to someone who wants to start, right? Start now, tap into it, and don't worry that it's a small project or it's like something small, right? If you're a church, like I'll go back to myself, right? Start where you are. So if you're a church, take pictures at church, take videos at church, and just with everything, just start where you are, right? Because you never know what might come out of it.
Of course.
Yeah, so I would say they should just start now, be faithful with the little that they have, and God will
Expand
enlarge.
it.
Yeah.
A big thank you to you, Victor, for joining us. Thank you so much for all the motivation that you have given to our young people. You heard that. Start with what you have. You know, the little that you have can expand and propel you into greater heights. And that is what Young Climber is all about. You speak to people who started off, you know, at the bottom and now they are skyrocketing. Till next time, or until we bring you another great individual in the Kingdom of Eswatini, from myself, Tabelo Dlamini, and of course, Victor Nera, we are bowing out, and it is see you next week.